This is Power and Purpose TV, the anticipated return of Power and Purpose TV. This is season 7, episode 1 of the new year. God keeps on making a way. Power and Purpose TV, season 7, episode 1. God keeps on making a way. How many of y'all can say God keeps on making a way? This is the return of Power and Purpose TV. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Power and Purpose TV. This is season 7, episode 1, Power and Purpose TV. God keeps on making a way. I'm not gonna be here for you before you too long, but we have a word that we want to share just to encourage somebody out there today. God keeps on making a way. He keeps on making a way. And how do you know he keeps on making a way? Because think about this one thing. How many of y'all have waken up this morning? Have God has started you on your way? That is two reasons that God has made a way. That he keeps on making a way in our lives today. Can I get somebody to testify that God is a good God? And even in the midst of darkness, even in the midst of trials and tribulations, God, he keeps on making a way. How do you know? Because our family is still being blessed. How do you know? Because we're still living. How do you know that God is keep blessing us? Because we are still here. We are still making money. We are still living day by day. And even as I just mentioned, even in the midst of the darkness that we're going through, we have to be a witness to somebody else that God is making a way out of nowhere. We have to be mindful and count everything as a blessing, because some people that was here last year is not here today. We only 5 days into the new year, and how many people know a lot of people that didn't make it to this year? So you ought to be able to testify to somebody else that God has made a way in your life. We have to be mindful. We have to understand what God is doing in this season. We have to understand where God is trying to take us and how God is trying to take us to another level. When you understand the mindset and what God is doing, you will understand that God has a plan for your life. The Bible tells us in Jeremiah 29:11 that God has a plan and purpose for our lives, a plan for us to prosper and not harm us, to give us hope in the future. So if you understand what God is doing and how God is doing things, you will see that God is still making a way. How many of y'all can testify that last year may not be like it was this year? Why? Because you have set in your mind that you're going to trust God, but the more. When you begin to trust God, but the more and lean to God's understanding, the Bible talks about that in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart. Lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So in other words, when you acknowledging God in every aspect of your life, God will direct your path. He will set you on the path in which you be able to prosper, but the more. Where Chris, this road may be a little rocky. Yes, this road may be a little weary. Yes, this road may be a little lonely. You have to think about the place that God is trying to take you. Some people can't go with you. The road that God is taking you, you have to go down that road by yourself. Why? Because God is He is preparing you for the plan that He has for your life. And when you understand that God is preparing you for this plan, you have to understand that there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be trials and tribulations. And when those trials and tribulations has come, God is equipping you to be able to handle those things along the way. So you have to understand God keeps on making a way. Even in the midst of the darkness, God is continuing to make a way. And we have to think about that God is unchanging. He's everlasting. In Hebrews 13 and 8, it says, God is unchanging. He is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So when you begin to understand that mindset and understand what God is doing, you will understand that God do not change. We change, but God do not change. God is so merciful that when we have fallen off the track, when we have fallen off our course, off the path that God has for us, because of His grace and mercy, is so sufficient. He allow us to come back to Him wholeheartedly. And when you begin to reference God and understand what God is doing and how God is doing in this season, you will begin to love God but the more. You begin to trust God but the more. And we have to understand the plan. If you don't understand the plan that God has for you, you have to tap into the spiritual realm and understand where God is trying to take you. And when God is taking you into the season, you have to understand how the season goes. Why? Because we know what God is doing. We know how God is doing. We know what God God is trying. And when you tap into the spiritual realm and you understand how God is doing and what God is doing, you will understand it but the more. But God, He keeps on making a way. We have to think about it even when we come up short. Even when our finances is not the same, our change get a little strange. Our friends get a few. God is still making a way. Why? Well, you say, well, how you know? Because I've been through those storm and rain, and I had to trust God. But the more, it been many of times that I faced hardships. There been many of times that I felt all alone, as the song just stated. But I know that God, He keeps on making a way. Why? Because I trust Him. But the more, well, I can't trust Him that far. Well, my Bible tells me now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you can't see your way through, when you can't see your way down that dark alley, that dark path alone, you have to trust God but the more. And when you begin to trust God but the more, you begin to build your hope and your faith within God. And God will show you, He will show out for you. And that will let you know that God keeps on making a way. Can I get a witness? But we have to be determined. We have to be determined that we're going to stay in the spiritual realm, and we got to allow God to move on our behalf. And one more verse before I get out here. I'm not going to tarry too long. One verse, Isaiah 43 and 19. For I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry, wasted land. In other words, God is going to make a way no matter the situation, no matter what you're facing. God, He's going to make a way. But we got to trust and we got to believe that God, He can, He shall, He will see us through every situation that we go through. But we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful and we have to trust in God. Anything that we're going through, we have to give it to the Lord. My Bible tells me in John 14:27, Jesus said, I am leaving you with a gift. What is the gift? The gift is a peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or don't be afraid to have peace within God. Meaning we have to trust God, but the more. Everything that comes to us may come to hurt us. And my Bible tells me no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So we have to understand and apply that to our life, that even in the midst of what the enemy is trying to do, God said no weapon shall prosper against us. So God said He wants to leave us with a gift, and the gift is a peace of mind and heart. So we can't be troubled and we can't get weary. The Bible said, don't get weary, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. What you saying, minister? I'm saying overall, God, He's going to keep making a way, even in the midst, even when you can't see your way through. God is going to make a way. Excuse me. God is going to make a way out of nowhere. We have to trust in God, as I stated in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. We can't lean to our own understanding, but God's, and we have to acknowledge Him. And once you begin to acknowledge God, He will direct your path. And there you have it. This is the first episode, season 7 of Power and Purpose TV. The return of Power and Purpose TV. We are here to uplift you. We're here to give you a word of encouragement, a word that you can press on. You can push through whatever trials and tribulations you're going through. God will see you through. The Bible says, cast all your cares on the Lord. Cast all your burdens on the Lord. Why? Because He cares for you and I. So even in the midst of that darkest moment that you face Him, you have to trust God brother more. Even in the midst of what you're going through or dealing with, far as financial, family, or your job, understand that God, He's able to overturn everything. You think man has the final say so? No, God has the final say so over everything. But we have to trust God but the more. We have to trust God but the more. Why? Because God keeps on making a way. Well, how you know? Because I've been in times wherein I want to quit. I've been in times wherein I just want to give up and throw in the towel. But when you know that God has His hand upon your life, when you know that God has just said in His word that He will give you a peace of mind, all peace lies within God. And when you understand that, you will understand how to press on. You will understand how to pursue more and more, and understanding that God is God of all power. He will see you through. You have to be determined. You have to have the determination that you're going to press on even in the midst of your darkness. God will. God keeps on making a way. And remember, here at Power and the Purpose TV, we are reaching purpose with power. Until next time, God, and may He smile upon you. Keep on making a way. God bless you.